Hello, this is Darren Pulsifer, Chief Solution Architect of Public Sector at Intel, and welcome to Embracing Digital Transformation, where we investigate effective change leveraging people, process, and technology. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the importance of a cloud broker organization with special guest cloud solution architects from Intel. Welcome, guys. I called you guys Cloud Solution Architects. You are part of our Cloud Solution Architect team. We've got Dave Shrestha from the Cloud Solution Architect team. And we also have Kevin Bleckman with us today. And they have a long heritage in cloud brokerage. At Intel, you guys founded the cloud brokerage team, right?
That's right. Thanks for having us today.
Well, I am so glad that you guys came on. Now, tell me a little bit about what is this internal cloud broker organization that you guys did and why it's so important?
I can kick it off. Yeah. So at Intel, we really wanted to focus on public cloud usage. And this is about seven years ago, I think now. We had a group of people that were consuming the public cloud, and all they were doing was swiping their credit cards and just spending. I
was one
money.
Of those.
Yeah,
I was one of those.
So the spending just got way out of control, and everybody was doing all kinds of stuff. Security was all over the place. People were just kind of wild west out there, right? So. As part of the IT organization, it was Dave and I's responsibility to kind of rein it all in and build a kind of an organization and an ordering of things, right? Keep people accountable for what they're doing out there. So that's what kind of forced us to create the Cloud Broker organization.
It's funny because I remember when you guys formed, I was not happy that you started squashing my my instances. But later on, I realized, this is really an important role because you are right. Costs were out of control. I even got caught with an instance that had been running for a couple of weeks with it doing nothing. That was just chewing up money.
Yeah, it can really run up your bill really quickly, and it doesn't need to, right? You can. There's so much you can do with the cloud to turn things off. You can automate scheduling of instances when they run, when they don't run. So there's a lot of value that we can provide.
Well, and I'm glad that Intel did that. And you guys were kind of on the forefront of. I know a lot of my customers today are just now starting to get their hands around the importance of managing their cloud assets. And you guys did this through kind of a centralized approach, right?
Yeah. So what we decided to do is we brought in all of our cloud providers underneath one group, and then we, went through and organized those vendors and created enterprise contracts with those vendors. Got all of our ducks in a row. Made sure that all of the billing was set up to go through one organization. So IT would own essentially the billing and the negotiations of contracts and all of that. For all of our business groups, which made it really beneficial because all of these business groups, they would get hit with these credit card charges, and our finance organization told them to stop doing that, and they had to create their own POs. So instead of having 50 different POs for each different business group that wanted to use the public cloud, IT went in and managed the single PO, and then we end up doing internal billing back to different business groups.
So it saved the company overall money because, collectively, Intel has more purchasing power now.
Right, it does.
Yeah, not only that, by having it in all of our accounts under one master PO, we're able to not just negotiate a better discount, enterprise discount programs, but we're able to also move on to more advanced cost saving opportunities like purchasing reserved capacity at a master payer level, where we could get additional discounts instead of paying on demand prices. We could also, where it doesn't make sense to buy it at a master payer level, we could identify workloads and accounts where we could work with individual account owners to buy it for their accounts, and that way we could pass on the savings as well. So there were different opportunities that comes up once you corral all of the accounts together under master payer.
So I can see a lot of the benefits. I mean, that seems pretty straightforward. How was it in the beginning getting it started? Because it was you two that started it. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. It was difficult. I mean, in the beginning, we had what we called a lot of cloud escapes, where, people were still, even though they were required to go through us to a central IT, to request a public cloud account, we still had a lot of people use their corporate credit cards, even personal credit cards, to open up accounts. So we worked with our procurement team to actually, prevent people from doing, reimbursement to get reimbursement if they use, the corporate credit cards, stuff like that. But even then, we still had people doing it because, some people just weren't aware that they had to go through us, right? And so what we ended up doing there is, afterwards is, depending on the cloud provider, we would get a report from the cloud provider on a monthly basis or so, saying, hey, you have these people opening, accounts with us with an intel.com address, right? And then we would go after those guys and say, hey, we noticed you have a public cloud account with your Intel email address, and if it's official, please go through us. And this is how you do it. This is how you convert it. Things like that. So, it was very difficult in the beginning.
So the cloud service providers, they're pretty helpful with this. They would give you all that information.
Some are, some not. Some will give us a report. Some are, some will not. So the way we are, combating where we cannot get that report is, we have all of our, cloud providers using a central identity provider, and we do a report out through the, our identity provider and, with the Intel email, address. And that way, and we compare that against our official sanctioned, accounts, and that way we could identify the discrepancy and go after those accounts.
Very, very cool. So that's a tip. That's a great tip for our customers that are out there that do have the Wild West. They have a Darren on their team like me. That's, yeah, I can do whatever I want in the cloud with my personal credit card. So there are some options there. You can go out and
right. And I think instead of just using a stick, we actually, for us, we want to offer a carrot as well, right? We want to make sure that, hey, if you go through us, you're going to get these benefits, right? I mean, we don't want to just say, oh, you're violating a policy if you don't want to go through us, right? So, for example of carrots is that, we tell them, look, if you go through us, you're not just getting an account, public cloud account, but you're getting an account that has monitoring and security and minimum security standards in place. So you are compliant with our Intel's information security policies. You're also getting things like enterprise support that we have already negotiated, a contract with. So they're getting a better SLA for their support. They're getting, training that we have negotiated contracts with, things like that. So we try to offer, not just a stick, but also, a lot of benefits for having a centralized, cloud broker management team that manages all the public cloud accounts.
Great. So Kevin, what about the, how did you guys get the word out? You have the carrot and the stick. The stick, that one's an easy one, right? Someone does something bad, you call their manager and bam, bam, bam. But the carrot's a little bit different, right? Because you're trying to pull people in. What kind of campaigning did you have to do internally? Or was it just a mandate from above? How did that work?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both, right? We definitely need to have the governance. Governance is key with all of it. You need to have a kind of a top-down approach of this is the way it will happen. You must use IT to get all of your accounts and whatever that is. But we also ended up building what we call our cloud COE or our cloud center of excellence, right? So this is a community-based forum internal to Intel that we ask everybody to join into when they get their cloud accounts. And it's really grown over the years where we had 50 accounts at one time, and now it's close to 1,000 accounts. But they're all basically all these people are joining the communities and providing feedback. Hey, I've seen this before. I've seen that before. And it's really grown from the grassroots, side of things, right? So that's really another benefit of having the brokerage team, is we sort of lead that community of excellence, and help the group grow and get more information out to people.
I love that grassroots movement, because that's really where things will move much faster, right?
Absolutely.
And because I think I've talked about this in the podcast before. Cloud moved the shadow IT out of the shadows and into the cloud, right? Before, I would hide my machines under my desk, right? To run my own IT under my desk.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and now it's up in the cloud, and it's easy because it's a card swipe.
Yeah, but it's also a big thing for a lot of the developers and people that use the cloud. They just want to use it, right? They don't really know about the security of it, or how to save money, or they just want to do what they want to do, right? So it's very, like I said, wild west. But by having the brokerage team help people rein some of that stuff in and put I like to use the terminology of a sandbox. I give you a sandbox and I put all the toys inside of that sandbox, but I keep you in there. I don't let you kick sand outside of the sandbox and play with all the other toys that are outside there that may get you in trouble, right? That sort of thing. So it's really providing the developer community with safe, secure accounts and the ability to use the cloud whenever they need to, but put all of the information to them in front of them.
And try and not get in their way, right? That's why they
Absolutely.
do the shadow IT in the first place.
Yep.
Very cool. Now, the cloud brokerage team not only managed the contracts and attracted people through the portal, but you guys also came up with some additional services that you provided, right? More carrots, more ways of utilizing clouds more effectively and bringing more people into the cloud brokerage offerings.
Yeah, I mean, so by having a cloud brokerage team, what we found is that different you have, if you count the available services across public cloud providers, there's hundreds of services available, and they're always releasing new services and capabilities, right? It's very hard for business groups to have maintain expertise on all of those services across multiple cloud providers, right? And so by having a team, a central cloud broker team that is focused on public cloud, that are able to keep up with the knowledge, they're able to offer the guidance when business partners come to us to say, hey, here's an application we have, here's our workload, where is the best place to land it, right? We're able to guide them, select the right, not just the right the cloud provider, but also what is the best services for them to use for their workloads, right? And we're also able to offer cost optimization and the security and the privacy challenges they have to go through, because we have a deep partnership with information security, et cetera. We're able to guide them through all of that that maze, and be able to offer them a secure, cost-effective solution in the public cloud.
So you guys actually spend time with the individual group looking at their workload?
Yes. Not every single one, but for larger ones, yes.
For larger
definitely.
ones.
And we make ourselves, even for smaller ones, we make ourselves available for consulting. So they could go to our service a ticketing system and submit a ticket and request a consulting with us.
That's pretty cool. Go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's really where it grew to. I mean, Dave and I first started this years and years ago, but then every time anybody got a cloud account in the past recent years, it's always go to Dave and Kevin and figure out, hey, here's my design, here's what I want to do. Is this the right way to do it? And it's and sometimes we would know about it, and sometimes we wouldn't, but we had all the resources at our fingertips to be able to direct people to the right place, right? Truly brokering the workloads to whatever services they wanted to consume. So bringing in expertise from big data or from AI or whatever it is, we could broker the customer to the right people, whether it's from the vendor or from other teams inside of Intel. We were able to provide that to them because they were all coming through this central funnel. So that's the key to this brokerage, is that people are coming in through a central funnel, and you can redirect them to the right place, and people don't have to search everywhere across your internal network to find resources.
So there's a couple interesting things that if I drew this all together, consolidation of contracts, managing all the contracts with cloud service providers,
Right.
providing kind of best practices through the community of excellence, right? The cloud
Right.
Yep.
community of excellence, or center of excellence, I guess.
Yeah.
And the best practices, you guys helped so many different people that you were able to learn and grow, and help lots of people through the organization. So these cloud brokers are really, really important, it sounds.
It's really been one of the biggest benefits that we had of going to public cloud is building this organization of brokers, because like you said, it's, the knowledge that we gain as brokers by bringing in a vendor and then the vendor telling us how to do something, we gain that knowledge, and then we can then pass that on to the next group that comes in with the same type of question. Or we've generated, I don't know how many hundreds of pages of wiki documents that Dave and I have written internally about, hey, here's a situation that we've done, and here's the solution for it. Now it's documented, and there's literally hundreds of individual wiki pages on how to solve certain problems in the cloud.
You guys need to turn that into an ebook or something.
Yeah, the problem with that is it changes every day, right? All these cloud providers change their services, change how you consume them. There's a service that comes out or replaces another one. So it's it's a living document, right? And that's why the wiki works so great.
So this is really interesting what you said there, because what that says to me is you can't just give someone on your team some cloud training for 3 months and they're done.
Correct. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Because you said it, they're always changing. Things are very dynamic. So you really do need a dedicated person in your cloud broker team.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that you mentioned, because we came from the enterprise world, right? Dave and I were, we were enterprise people way back when. And then when we started, working on the public cloud, we really focused just on the public cloud. We had the enterprise background, but it was really a dedicated position that we took to go work in public cloud and then learn it and teach people about it and whatnot. And it really separated enterprise from the cloud. Some organizations that I've worked with have kind of married the two, right? Where the enterprise people now go play in the public cloud, but that's not always the case. Some companies separate the two. So that is a choice that you make when you're going to this cloud journey: is do I keep the enterprise team intact, or do I merge it with the enterprise team should do cloud things as well? So that's a different conversation for sure.
And as our public cloud usage grew across multi-cloud providers, Kevin and I not only focused on public cloud, but we found that as our critical mass increased and as the maturity of cloud providers, they started offering massive number of services. We found that it was better if we focused on a particular cloud provider, right? So Kevin focused on AWS. And we were still backup for each other, right? And so we still were backup, but our primary was Kevin focused on AWS and I focused on Azure, right? And so that also helped a lot, because that way, we were able to just kind of go do a deeper dive instead of just a surface level. We were able to go deeper dive into technologies, service capabilities that a particular cloud provider offered, and we were also able to have a better relationship. Now, like for example, Azure would be, their team Microsoft team would contact me for anything related to Azure, and I'm able to be that one source, be point source person. And same thing for Kevin with Google and AWS, etc., the other cloud providers that we have. So it made as that critical mass and maturity grew, we felt even specializing in a particular cloud provider helped a lot.
That's another good tip, right? And I think it's interesting too. Why did you guys make a decision to go with multiple cloud offerings instead of just one? I know why I would, but what drove Intel into saying, well, we're not just going to use one cloud service provider. We're going to allow the teams to use multiple.
Yeah, I mean, the business really drove a lot of that for us too, right? The business groups would come in and say, hey, I want to use, cloud provider X. I want to use Amazon. I want to use Azure. And we didn't really necessarily tell people no. We just wanted to make sure that they got their accounts and their things, and they were getting it secured. They're getting the price that we negotiated. And we want to make sure they were in their sandbox, as I kind of mentioned. We do have certain workloads that work better with different providers, and we provide that consulting services. Some of the enterprise services work better with Azure and Microsoft. Some of the developers are really builders, right? They want to build it from the ground up, and they love using the Amazon interfaces and putting all the building blocks of Amazon components together. Some people just like things right out of the box too. So it was just a variety of the business groups that we basically wanted to provide them whatever they wanted. So we didn't really restrict people.
Now, some of the decisions are more, a little bit more simple in terms of like, in the beginning, at least, when it wasn't always the same level playing field between the cloud providers. Some cloud providers were very aggressive in their multi-global data center offering, et cetera, right? And so they had data centers across many different regions globally. Some did not, et cetera. So if we had workloads where there were regulatory and compliance reasons to have for data sovereignty, et cetera, and there simply wasn't a particular data center available on one particular cloud provider, that drove a workload to one provider versus others in the beginning. And now that's not so much the case, because most of them are pretty much equal in their offering, right? So there were some minor differences in the past, and also we had obviously in the beginning when we started, we didn't have enterprise contract with everyone. We had just one enterprise contract with a particular cloud provider, and obviously we used them. But once we started to see critical mass with other cloud providers, we did have enterprise contract with others, and now it's more of a equal playing field.
It's really interesting, because as you were saying that, I was thinking, I thought a cloud broker was more of a technical position, but it's not just technical. It's
not just technical. Absolutely.
It's business. It's technical. You have to be kind of a jack of all trades, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one of the key things that I think we added value at Intel is that in the beginning, public cloud was, it was the scope from, let's say security teams and networking teams, their scope was on-prem. And so public cloud was, anything related with public cloud was our team, right? And so once we started, having more and more critical mass, and, we realized, okay, we got to secure this thing, so we became the experts in security as well. We became the experts in networking as well. So by doing that, we were able to bring in and educate our networking teams and our security teams, and that way they now expanded their scope from on-prem to now public cloud too. And so now they are taking ownership of security, not just on-prem, but in public cloud. And same thing with network and other teams, right? So by having that central cloud team, we're able to educate and expand the scope of our other organizations, at Intel.
Oh, this is great. I think the importance of this team cannot be understated, because you're kind of the glue.
Absolutely.
The glue
that glues
and that's what we were known for, as we were called the glue. Actually, that was
the cloud glue
word people use. Yeah.
Well, we're not going to call them cloud brokers anymore, people. It's cloud glue from now on.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Embracing Digital Transformation today. If you liked our episode, go ahead and give us 5 stars on your favorite podcast or video streaming site. You can also find out more on embracingdigital.com. Until next time, keep moving forward and do something wonderful.